Right, this is second grade, Module 6, Lesson 5, and in this lesson, we are now introducing a new way of representing repeated addition. So in previous videos, we started with equal groups, and then we did some repeated addition, and then we did incorporated tape diagrams. And now in this lesson, we are adding more vocabulary. Now we're adding rows and columns. We're building arrays. A lot of second graders might connect that with the concept of a rectangle. We're building rectangles. And so that's where we're going. At this point, we're not going to be worried too much about whether students get rows or columns. Oops, I just did it wrong. Rows or columns correct at this point. We want them to just build the arrays and understand how they're connected to repeated addition and equal groups. So let's get started with this.
So before I go talking about some of the homework problems, so let's say we've got 12 Lego pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, good, so we got 12. And the idea is let's allow our students to play with these manipulatives first. So let's say, let's start by creating groups of 3. So let's start by creating groups of 3, and if we start by creating groups of 3, how many groups do we end up with? We end up with 4 groups of 3. Or we could say, hey, wait, now I want you to make it into 3 equal-sized groups. Oh my goodness, now let's play with these. And how could we create 3 equal-sized groups? We could, let's see, move this guy, move these guys, and move this girl, and then, all right, now we have 3 equal-sized groups. Now we have 3 groups of, 3 groups of 4. And now let's put them in groups of 2. And so the idea is, okay, let's put them in groups of 2. And as we do that, if we put them in groups of 2, some students might do this. And all of a sudden, we now have an array, don't we? It's not mandatory that your students suddenly do it this way, but we now have groups of 2, and in fact, we have an array, and we could start talking about this array. And we could say, well, we have 2 rows, and there's 6 in each row. We could talk about columns. We could say that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns, and there's 2 Lego girls in each column. We could also say, well, not only do we have, let's see, this as our array, but we could also say, let's see, I'm going to do here, okay. And we could also say that we also have, this could be an array. So here's an array, and this is an array, and we can see that they have an equal number of girls in both arrays. And at this point, parents and teachers, when we're asking students to build arrays, we're not going to nitpick. If we were expecting an array that looked like this, but our students give us an array that looks like this, we are not going to nitpick. We're perfectly fine with this. This simply is 2 columns and 6 rows versus what looks like this, which is 2 rows and 6 columns. So at this point, let your students have the freedom to just build the arrays. We don't want them fretting over whether they're building it in the right orientation or not. So here I thought I would include this, not because it was hard, but it just took me a little while to understand what these lines were. I just didn't quite get it. So I thought I would spare you the trouble and let you benefit from my learning curve. So circle the groups of 4. So that's pretty easy. We're going to circle groups of 4. And what's fun is there's a lot of different ways you can make groups of 4. So I'm just merely showing you one way. So there's my groups of 4. And now it says redraw the groups of 4 as rows. So you'll notice we've got 3 rows here. And so we're going to draw 4 diamonds in this row, and then we're going to draw 4 diamonds in this row, and then we're going to draw 4 diamonds in the next row. Boom, 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 boom. And so that's what that's going to look like. What kind of confused me over here is if I'm supposed to draw columns, right? I'm supposed to put them in groups of 4 as columns. Where am I supposed to draw those diamonds? And I've decided it's perfectly fine to draw your diamonds right here, and in which case you're going to have your diamonds looking like this. Now, if you wanted to, you could use those lines as your guides and put them right there, but really what Eureka Math is looking for is for you to put your diamonds in the spaces provided. Again, it says count the objects in the arrays from left to right by rows and columns, and as you count, circle the row and then the column. So what they meant by that is you're going to say, okay, 1, 2, 3, circle. 4, 5, 6, circle. 7, 8, 9, circle. 10, 11, 12, circle. 13, 14, 15, circle. So we see that we have 15 smiley faces. And if we wanted to count by columns instead, because I just counted by rows, now let's count by columns. So what's that going to look like? That's going to look like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, circle. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, circle. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, circle. And there we go. That's what they're looking for right here. Now it says redraw the smiley faces and triangles in this problem as columns of 3. Okay, so what they want us to do is take these smiley faces, and I'm just going to draw 1 smiley face. And there's my smiley face. And they want us to put that smiley face, in fact, we started off with 15 smiley faces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So we've got our 15 smiley faces here, and they want us to put it in columns of 3. All right, so we're going to do that. So that 1, 2, 3, there's 1 column of 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then now you can see that we have columns of 3, and we have 5 columns. And in each column, there are 3 smiley faces. Now here it just says draw an array of 20 triangles. Now what's really cool about this, parents and teachers, is a lot of choices. A lot of choices here. So if I want to draw 20 triangles, let's do a triangle. Let's make a triangle look like this. So here is our triangle. Kind of there. Yeah, that's actually a pretty good triangle. Now, we're going to draw an array of 20 of these babies, all right? So let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Now, what you didn't see is I just made 20 triangles. Okay, so let's draw an array of 20 triangles. So, boy, this is... Parents and teachers, I think this is probably one of the most fun kinds of problems that your students can do. Because what they're going to do, they're not going to know. You notice I stopped at making rows of 4. That's because I happen to know 4 is a factor of 20. But parents and teachers, it's really fun to watch your students just take these and rearrange them and try and move them around and shuffle them around until they finally get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, until they finally get what looks like an array right here. Woohoo! Finally, I have an array. All right, so there's a lot of ways that students, of course, can do this, right? And let your students have fun by building a variety of arrays, and let's make a list. Let's see if we can find a list, make a list of all the different possible arrays that we could create using these 20 triangles. And of course, your students might say, well, let's see, let's make this a triangle, an array. And then their students might say, but if this is an array, let's see, does this count as an array as well? And the answer is, of course, yes. They're different arrays. So sure, let's include both of them. Let's have fun. This is a fun problem. Let your students just explore away and give them a bunch of different numbers. And why stop with just 20? Let's try 16. Let's try 12. Now here's a kicker. Now what's a really interesting thing is if you let your students, you say, hey students, let's take just 5 squares. And so let's draw 5 squares. Let's start with 5 squares. So I'm going to draw 5 squares. So there's 1 square. And now I've got 5 squares. All right. Now the idea is, if you ask your students, hey, let's make an array with 5 squares. Now your students they're gonna go like, okay, here. Oh, is that an array? No, that's not an array. Well, let's keep trying. Okay, how about if we do this? Is that an array? No, that's not an array. Some students might want to take this square and hide it and say, here is our array. But no, because it says we're supposed to make an array with 5 squares. Now what's interesting is a lot of second graders, and for good reason, think that this is not an array simply because all of their experience with arrays has been multiple rows, right? Now this is an array, but there's only 1 row. So parents and teachers, this is a great opportunity to let your students know that yes, this is indeed an array. It just has 1 row. It doesn't quite look like a rectangle like everything we've been looking at prior to this one. So that's a little bit of fun, and go ahead and do that with your kids. And that wraps up 2nd grade Module 6, Lesson 5. We've introduced 3 new vocabulary words: arrays, rows, and columns.